thumbs up if everyone can hear me. Cool, cool, cool. Great. So first up, we have Gajanan Nagarshekar. He is the founder and CEO of Kalos. So he is going to be our expert regarding health tech, whatever questions we have regarding that. Next is Daryl D'Souza, is also who's spoken a lot on TED Talks and is a therapist from what I understand. And so I'm really looking forward to understanding what kind of like a bond between allopathy and the different therapies that we can find. And then is Asha Arundekar, and Madam has been president in BNI. So we are really looking for how business modules work, like the business aspect of health, and how we can collaborate with non-medical businesses. Moving on, next we have Dr. Akhil Lawande. He is a practicing gynecologist. So we will be seeing, we will be trying to talk to him more about how we can get public and private collaborations. And then we have Roy Trellis, who is an certified alcohol, drug, and gambling therapist, and which is also really kind of important in these times of peri-COVID. So moving on, so we wouldn't say that Goa is completely in the post-COVID era. We are in this peri-COVID era where we are still dealing with COVID and yet trying to find post-COVID balance. So the first question which has been asked by Ideas of Goa is the opportunities which have arisen out of this crisis. The basic and the first thing which comes to our mind is sanitizers, masks, gloves, shields, which are not just for doctors, but for every industry, like the police need it for everything. So what are the other products and services which have really boomed during this crisis period? So that's open to everyone on the panel. So what kind of services? So basically, we're trying to provide the best products and services for Goa. And as our PM says, being Atmanirbhar and hopefully producing all of that within Goa and providing all of that within Goa. So any ideas on how we can be Atmanirbhar with these products and services which we need right now?
Okay.
So
yes, Roy Trellis. Roy.
Hi, Roy Trellis. I think a very important product or service that can be done right away is home delivery of food, of provisions, and of medical supplies. It provides employment to the driver, to the motorcycle pilots.
I completely agree
and it
that
reduces
home
the
delivery and contactless delivery of not just food and other things, but all services like medical services, medicines. A lot of pregnant Akhil, a lot of women in your hospital and otherwise. Are you giving like home deliveries of say iron, folic acid, or any other kind of supplies?
I think the pharmacies are doing that job. So I've seen a lot of pharmacies advertising like, order above 500 rupees and get a free home delivery. So I think almost every area has got a pharmacy now, and if they can just cater to their surroundings, they'll be sorted.
Yeah. So what I think home deliveries is happening, but what I was looking at was home checkups is something which a lot of patients have been asking me also, that we will not be able to come. Can we do a video teleconference? And video consultation for many things is not possible. Sometimes you have a pain in abdomen and you really need to check it up, or there is someone who's fallen and they cannot get. So is there a form where we can get a home checkup in Goa? Some kind of a kit which comes with mask and gloves and everything, and maybe a sterile, bed sheet which we can put in their houses. Some kind of a home checkup kit. Is that something which would be interesting or would be possible?
I think that's not feasible because the kind of volumes we have, it's not possible to go to each patient's house. So in India, I feel it's not possible, but there is this online app which I found quite interesting. I think it was Practo or AmFine.
Yes.
where you can actually log in and get an appointment. Okay, you have a fixed timed video session with a doctor, and
Yes.
then only if needed you walk into the clinic to get a checkup.
Yes.
And you can pay via Google Pay or Paytm, because that is quite important.
Have you
So
started doing any video
no,
consultation?
so initially when we were in a total lockdown, we had closed our OPD. We started giving out our phone numbers to all the patients. And a lot of patients started calling unnecessarily, calling during odd times. And since it was free, they were like misusing the service.
True,
So I felt that this app thing would be quite useful, where you book an appointment. So there's a proper time so the doctor can be made aware of, and you pay using Paytm or Google Pay.
I think that's a good point, which Akhil has said, that we as doctors, we gave out our numbers, and now that we are going back to work, the phone keeps ringing.
That's what is happening.
The thing is that once the patient pays, they feel that they can continuously call for even small things like doctor, like no other patient otherwise would send a picture of the medicine and say, doctor, is this the medicine? But that is something which we are seeing. So of course, it's difficult to say no during a crisis. But as we are going back to normal, I think we'll have to stop that. So I think having a kind of an app might help, at least streamline, not anything else, but streamline the appointments. And that may not be, that can be a hospital-based app as well, each hospital to themselves. Now, the other thing which I wanted to ask was about therapy, mental health therapy. A lot of people, I mean, alcohol withdrawal. Did we see a lot of alcohol withdrawal in Goa during the? Did anyone see any patients, or was there any incidents of alcohol withdrawal, or did someone have drugs? See, let us be honest. A lot of gambling and all. I mean, de-addiction of any sort, any kind of addiction would lead to a withdrawal. So a lot of people might have had drug, alcohol, or gambling withdrawal. Is that something which we saw?
So I can just say that as an addictionologist, I've been practicing this for about 26 years now.
Right.
We didn't get anybody coming into the center in withdrawal because we don't admit people who are in withdrawal. I got a lot of calls from people, and what I said was, you get yourself to the nearest hospital,
right,
and get yourself detoxified. I have got patients who came here from Bombay, from Goa, and from Canada. They got the medical clearance from the hospital that they were basically stable and ambulatory and COVID free. And they got the necessary police permissions to come here to Lonavala and partake of the treatment.
Okay.
But, just to go back to the other point which Dr. Akhil had brought up about the online counseling, and I'd love to hear from Daryl as well. I got so many calls for people from counseling that I just said, look, this is not a free service. Your first consultation is free, and after that it's pay for service.
Absolutely.
And I'm not charging my US rates, I'm charging Indian rates. And my patients have had absolutely no problem.
No problem. Yes, absolutely.
Wow.
Yes.
Online.
I
had doing a group session once a day.
Oh, wow. So I feel like, I think that is a mindset, a paradigm shift, which we are seeing in patients in India. Now that we are in lockdown, the idea that we can pay and get a service. And it's something which, the fact that the service is available to them is in itself quite a privilege in these times. So the fact that they have to pay for it is not the first time. Yes, it seems odd, but if everyone is doing it, then it becomes par for norm. And I think that I think even after post-COVID, a lot of elderly doctors, the senior doctors who you want to reach, but senior doctors themselves are in a risk category for COVID, and they should not be practicing. So if they need at least a senior doctor's consultation, they can always get a video consult, even though junior doctors will start practicing. Now, moving on to the next section of questions, which is really interesting, which is that business models which we might have to come up with the reduction in tourism. Now, medical tourism and wellness tourism is well talked about thing in Goa, but let's like talk practical things. So I have 3 questions in this. I just pose the questions and then we'll take, we'll discuss. So the first question is, how much of the health and wellness actually depended on tourists? Like how much of the business actually came through tourists? And what were the products and services that the tourists were availing in Goa pre-COVID? And the third question is, of course, that say most of them would be foreign tourists, and these foreign tourists came in, say, around November. So we still have till November. So what are the services and products that we can, get ready before, say, the next tourism season? Say it may not happen this year, but say in the beginning of March. So what have you ever, what kind of tourist products or medical tourism have you actually seen in Goa? We do speak about a lot of medical tourism and wellness tourism in Goa, but what is the kind of people who are coming in, and so what are the products? Right.
Okay.
Asha.
Yes, doctor. Actually, as far as the tourism was concerned before the COVID lockdown, it was more of focused on cosmetology treatments when we talk of medical. So there were cosmetology treatments. There were a lot of dental treatments that people came to Goa for, and of course, besides that, the de-stressing therapies, yoga, and because nobody, exactly, there were a lot of yoga centers which were being promoted in Goa right from across north to south. But these were not really, focused upon.
Yes.
Now I feel after this lockdown, Goa has a lot of boutique resorts, which owing to now the low tourist season may not be that effective or may not do so well.
But
there are beautiful resorts.
So let's be honest. I don't think they'll be opening up the borders for Indian, even domestic tourists till say November, December. So how can we give these products or services through online medium, say like yoga classes online or something?
That's one thing is that what I was talking about is there are a lot of boutique resorts in Goa.
Right.
During this period could be converted to destination wellness retreat, like an Ananda or a Jindal's, which Goa doesn't have.
Yes.
So Goa could come up on the tourist map, not just for tourism and the beaches and the sun and the casinos, but it could also come in on the map for wellness tourism. It could come in for medical tourism, So this could be one thing which could be worked out.
A lot like Bali, maybe,
Yes. And it could be worked with it could be a kind of a PPP, a private and a public together joint venture. So this is something which could be really worked out.
Right.
Yeah.
Can I just jump in here for a second?
Yes.
I just want to piggyback on what you said, because this is exactly what I did. I left India in 1994 because there are no schools for addiction counseling.
Yes.
And I worked in the US for 26 years, and I've come back and I've started this model. And my idea is to come to start my next center in Goa precisely for this. With this COVID, everybody's having problems with personal relationships. They can't control their emotional natures. They are, prey to misery and depression. They're having a trouble making a living. They are unhappy. They can't seem to be of real help to other people. And then they're either acting out or they're acting in. They're getting under the covers and sleeping all day, or they're binge watching Netflix with chips in their hands. And the few therapists that are around, we're getting
sounds like all of us during the lockdown.
Yes. And I think wellness, the focus is going to very specific, It will be more like a necessity than a trend, like how Doctor just spoke about it.
Yes, that is of course absolutely there. And I feel that, till now we were focusing on the foreign tourists. People who would come from Britain, who didn't have dental work done in their country. So they were the ones we were targeting. But say that, international borders will be sealed much longer than the domestic borders. So we really need to see, as Mr. Roy was saying, that we really need to target and, make these more
holistic healing centers
for domestic tourists. So on the same lines that even if we have an Ananda, we will not make it a rate, but we would still need to make it like boutique or small
Right.
or backpackers or something where
Right.
we can cater to the domestic as well
Exactly.
as ones themselves. You know, a lot of
Exactly.
these centers, what I have seen is that many of the locals will think, oh, this is only for tourists. This is
Right.
a tourist trap. This is the way we catch tourists, or this is the way we get into this. No, wellness is for everyone. And I
Everyone.
think in this lockdown, a lot of people have started to meditate, do yoga,
Right.
and I think this trend will follow through. And maybe many of them who have done some, you know, like I started doing chakra healing and crystal therapy and a few
Okay.
other interesting pranic healing and all, which we started during COVID. I feel like, you know, post COVID and post once these things open out, we might go in
Right.
search of actual teachers who might be able to teach us.
Right. Right. So kind of a
Now,
holistic healing centers.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
And really, what you know, linked to this, I think we'll go on to this alternative health. What
Mhm.
we've recently seen, not just now COVID times, but we saw it during, say, the pollution, like in Diwali and all.
Mhm.
We saw a lot of Indian domestic people from Delhi and all making their second home Goa.
Yes.
Or a lot of I've also seen a few autistic autistic children or disabled children, parents making the move to settle in Goa from Bombay or a certain high competitive places like Hyderabad and Pune even, who they've decided that they want a slower pace of life for their children, as because they're disabled or have multiple problems of health.
Mhm.
And also a lot of people have started making, like, disabled and the old have started making Goa their retirement home, considering
Right.
that can we also market Goa as
Mhm.
the biggest retirement home in India, because we have really good like beaches, then we have really good alternative therapies for them. And
Right.
so would physiotherapy and occupational therapy come up in a big way, and other kinds of speech therapists
Mhm.
and audiologists, uh, allied like schools for the blind or schools for the multiple disabled people,
Mhm.
or old age homes, because all of these also come under the thing of medical and wellness. So how can we, as you said, we can change a few places into these boutique hotels,
Yes.
into
Yes.
these
Yes.
kind of homes for the
Right.
disabled or for the old, and make it barrier free kind
Yes.
of
Yes. Make it more of old age friendly. Old
absolutely
age friendly.
friendly,
Absolutely.
disabled friendly, and let's
Yes.
put it, the public
Senior
health is
centers is the politically correct term, not
what
old.
what
Senior centers is the
yes,
correct
senior
term.
centers. And so exactly, so they
Senior
wouldn't
wellness
be
centers.
just one thing.
Listen,
They
1 year away from being a senior. I'm going to be 60.
Yes, us.
Wow.
And one would want to have a senior center home in Goa. I mean, if there was an option to have a home away from home, I'm sure a lot of people, the weather is conducive, the pollution levels are conducive. So I think the government can look into, and also the public private sector can look into
Right.
expanding from just the ill. The problem
Yeah.
with medicine till now has been we cater only to the ill, and the ones who walk into our hospitals or walk into our clinics. What we really need to do is expand our thing. So any thoughts on that, Mr. Darrell? I am seeing that we have yet to hear from you. So we shall now hear from Mr. Darrell, who will tell us about how we are going to build this bridge between doctors who want patients inside and healers who go out in the public. So yeah, let's hear Mr. Darrell's thoughts on that.
Yes, Koheli, thank you. So I would like to mention a couple of things, especially with respect to the situation that we are in now, lockdown, where we are kind of cut off, in certain aspects. We are cut off from the world and from services, medical services and health services also. So last year I presented at a seminar in Baroda for 3 hours details on the decentralized medicine system of the future.
Decentralized. Oh, that's an interesting.
Now the principles on that were very fundamental, because what was happening in society, you see, even this is the reality now. When people even in the village, they fall sick, and if they get seriously sick, you find that they are not able to get themselves treatment in the village, and they're buying tickets and they're coming to the city. They are staying on rent. They're using up all their money. So there's a lot of carbon footprint. There is expense, and they are finally landing up at a hospital or for expensive services. And what I felt is the time has come now where even the metro cities are getting so burdened with all of this people coming and crowding. And what I felt is, rather than taking people to health, we must bring health to the people.
Yes.
Everybody knows, the village, is actually a place for healing, where you have good air, you have good water,
Right.
you have good surrounding. When
Right.
anybody who goes from the village to the, crowded cities, just looking at the city, they get sick itself. And then when they get into a hospital with so much of crowd, there's a second level of depression that comes in, So there were some very important principles about lowering carbon footprint, bringing wellness to the people. So in terms of working out a model which is also scientific, this is what we started when I was took up being the secretary of the World United Doctors and Healers Association in 2013. We formed an integrated model in which medical healthcare. So it was using 4 disciplines
So
for
do we
diagnosis.
have that kind of system, Mr. Darrell? Do we have that kind of like a body where we have doctors and therapists and everyone, like say like a BNI, but like only for healers and doctors or therapists in Goa? Can we build something like that?
Yeah, definitely. We can build something like that, which is on the official route. Now we just have groups on Facebook. I've got
Right.
9-10 groups on Facebook called Healers and Therapists in Goa, Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, Pune. It's all the
So
places in the last decade.
I'll invite Mr. Gajanan now to take this conversation forward, since he is our tech expert. And how can we, since we've come to like, this is an interesting thing, that we need to basically take wellness from the, like, take it to the people. So
Right.
take it forward. So how do we kind of form some kind of tech, some kind of thing where we can have all the healers in one kind of space and maybe collaborate and maybe take it forward into the public, rather than the public coming into our hospitals or clinics or wherever. We take it out into the public and show them that they really need this, rather than them realizing, oh yeah, I need to go to the doctor. We tell them that, hey, this might help you. So, Mr. Gajanan, I want some high-funded tech stuff, like something which I don't know. I'm totally at a loss of what tech is, basically, as you can say.
So
I was the last to figure this Zoom thing
so
out.
well, my background is with hardware and
Yes.
medical equipment and telemedicine.
Right.
So I think solutions are ready today, but then
Yes.
they are either half-baked or they are not really thought out, because that's not what the customer wants, or it lacks something that the customer wants, which is your
Exactly.
patient, or what the doctor can offer. And there is a limit to everything that we can do online, right? I mean, I want an X-ray, there is nothing but what I'm saying is, if you really look at, as you were saying, make groups of people and you make a list of these are what is available as therapists.
Right.
And you realize, even at allopathy level, doctors realize that there's a person who just requires mental healing and does not really need medicines. He can
Yes.
easily transfer this, saying, I would recommend you to Dr.
And
Darrell or something like that on the way.
Exactly. And
And in that
sometimes
regard.
it's a team effort, like because I deal with a lot of patients, with a lot of kids who have, who've had difficulty at childbirth, during birth. So they will have multiple issues. Like, I might deal with the eye, but then they need occupational therapy, they need physiotherapy, they need an
Right.
audiologist, they need a special school, so they need school teachers, their parents need counseling. Their families are breaking up because of a child who's disabled, so the family needs some kind of therapy. So it will be really good to have some kind of at least Goa-based app or tech where we can find out, and not really like a Practo where we need to review them, but somewhere where all these people are on one platform, so we can, talk to each other and kind of build online team.
So
Currently,
I think if you
yeah.
look at, sorry, Asha, go ahead.
No. I was just telling you, I was suggesting, why don't you have a health portal where you have
Precisely.
mental, physical, and emotional health all together?
Yes,
Precisely.
yes,
And
yes.
That's why I said, it's going to be a cloud solution, no doubt, but then
Yes.
it's something that, that you offer all the modalities,
I just
especially
want to-
in the healthcare domain, allopathy, alternative medicine,
Exactly,
everything.
alternate.
And you look at even this allied services. So even as an, what do you
Allied.
say, let's say you start with Ayurveda because you've not been an allopathy person, right?
Yes,
And I connect to the Ayurvedic doctor.
yes.
The example is that if the Ayurvedic doctor feels it is something that he cannot do without a proper blood report or something like that, he can
Right.
immediately consult saying that just go to the phlebotomy services, or he can assign a phlebotomy service to that patient. And
Right.
that in every city, you will need every therapist of every kind, right? So you're talking about a mental healer, or in some kind of a person who's helping you with depression, either with psychiatry or
Right.
yoga
Right.
or whatever. You want at least in an accessible zone. So in Goa, it's a small way, in a
Yes.
small zone, you can model this, right? And if you get that
Exactly.
model right,
It's
then
a
it's easy to
workable
scale it.
model.
Yes,
It's not
you
a
can
very big
scale.
place. It's as big as a big city. So I think if places like Bangalore, so that brings me to the other thing.
Can I,
Yes,
one second?
yes,
It's also
yes,
important, since this is Goa centric, it's really important to encourage. When I was in New York, I
yes.
discovered a company in Goa in Verna, small town. I don't know where Verna is, called OPSPL. And
Okay.
these guys, they did my entire software package. Today, when I get
Wonderful.
calls from potential patients,
Yes.
whether it's alcoholism, whether it's depression or COVID-related stress or anxiety,
Right.
I just take the email and I send them out a questionnaire,
Yes.
which they answer. And I mean, I've given them the
Absolutely.
input. So
Yeah.
these companies are already there. So going with what
Ready.
Gajanan said, we should take note
Absolutely.
of what is in Goa.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Let's encourage them. And remember,
Brings me
So Roy, to add to that,
Absolutely. You said the right thing that, right now in COVID, a lot of, like there are about 4 engineering colleges in Goa, but there aren't that many IT, parks. So this might be the best time to set up that IT industry in Goa, because a lot of them have come back. Maybe they're still working. They're working from home. You know how that works with a lot of IT. So a lot of Bangalore and Pune guys who are actually Goans are back in their hometown, and they're working from home, but they still have a lot of time on their hands, and they wouldn't mind, starting something up, collaborating, and
so Dr.
maybe
Kohli, I'd just like to add here.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm a part of a Goa Technology Association, which is about
Yes.
200, about 100 plus IT companies.
Right.
And as Roy said, PSPL is one of them, and there are other big, there are everything from a small company of 5 people to about a company of 500 employees.
Right.
We have that entire range, who can, and then at least about 20 of them who can develop this platform. So it is
Wow.
not that we cannot, it is about
Exactly.
a
It's
focused
not that we
effort to do it,
can't.
right?
Exactly. It's just that, as you said, they are half-baked ideas. They never went
Right.
to the full fruition. It
Right.
started off with a great idea, but then one thing is idea, and then the other thing is how to implement it. So, of course, here we are just generating ideas. I'm not sure how many people have
Yes.
joined us. I believe there are 38 participants. So,
Oh,
everyone is invited to put down your questions, your answers, all of it down on the question and answer symbol. And we will be taking those questions in another 10 minutes. So please leave whatever suggestions. If you want to be part of this whole, you want to start something up, you want to collaborate with anyone on the panel, please leave your comments on that Q&A, and we shall get to you. The team from Ideas for Goa will reach out to us. And yeah, I mean, exactly, like there's a lot of talent in Goa, and this is the right time for us to, form these collabs and kind of
Right.
figure out who can, what we need. First of all, what we need. What does the public of Goa need, and how can we provide it, and then find the necessary people. Good. So now I think we have only the last bit remaining, which is the public-private health partnership. Now, again, we have it divided into a few questions, which I've just divided into a few questions. First is, what are the already existing medical public-private partnerships that we already know? Then the second is, what are the existing non-medical public-private partnerships in Goa that we know of? And the third is, can we apply these non-medical public-private partnership like models into something medical? Because there isn't much medically. So I would like to ask Ms. Asha, that have you seen in your BNI needs any kind of public-private partnerships? Since you might have seen a lot of
well,
business.
as far as medical, I think besides Ayush, there isn't anything.
Yes.
But I have a very important thing to say here, that preventive health care, okay, is really increasing in the mind space of people during this lockdown. And it is going to really grow. So immunity boosters, booster foods, natural products, natural juices, this is going to be a big time industry, and a lot of people can venture into it privately or with the public and government partnership, because this is something which is going to really grow a lot.
I think that's really interesting, because I mean, it's an interesting anecdote. So about less than a year back, I went into this whole, as you said, preventive thing, not so much for health, but for anti-aging. And so I started to, do vitamin C, and I read a whole lot about vitamin C and how the tablets of vitamin C are about 20 times better than taking an orange. And then also we discovered things like turmeric. And the turmeric capsules which I started bringing were around 45 times more bioavailable than turmeric which we get naturally. So the
gingerlin, I think that is, yes.
The ginger and turmeric tablets. So I started collaborating with an Ayurvedic company, not really Ayurvedic, but they deal with wellness products. So we started keeping these wellness things like turmeric and ginger in our clinic. Recently, I started keeping astaxanthin. Now, astaxanthin is the #1 antioxidant, and it is better than omega-3 and all of that. But it crosses over the blood-brain barrier the best. And it helps the eyes, because there's a lot of blood-brain barrier, blood-retinal barrier. And we give it for diabetes, we give it for Alzheimer's, we give it for a whole lot of these things. And incidentally, the minute COVID happened, that was the first supply which got over. Like literally everyone came to the clinic and they're like, forget it, we want all of your turmeric, we want. So I do believe that even now I get calls all the way from Delhi and all, that people are like, oh my God, what was that vitamin C you take? So is that something which we can make in Goa?
Yes. Immunity boosting foods, natural foods, immunity boosting foods, supplements, drinks. This is
oil.
Yes.
Absolutely. So coconut oil, coconut creams, coconut.
Yes. It could be working in both ways, immunity boosting for intakes as well as external applications as well.
External application, absolutely. So I think that's really interesting that that we should be looking at Goan ingredients like tamdi bhaji. A lot of things, I don't know, like
drumstick, the moringa, a lot is available.
Like moringa capsules, apparently even like tamdi bhaji has some things which are as good as seaweed. So why should we get Japanese seaweed when we can, maybe make nori out of Goan ingredients?
So the foods are going to play a very important role in our keeping us healthy in the future.
I totally agree on that. I believe healthcare starts with what you put in your mouth. First thing is
Yes.
nutrition, and you need to
Oh,
make
yes,
people
Akhil.
aware. Yeah, oh yeah. And I've been like almost vegan
You've
for
been
6 months.
quite,
I've
you've
quit,
been,
quit meat and dairy and eggs, and I can see the difference in my healthcare. A couple of my friends and a few patients who I counseled to quit meat and dairy have seen significant results.
true.
So I believe everyone should give it a try, or at least reduce your meat intake, avoid
Yes.
processed foods, processed meats,
Yes.
and try to get as
So,
much locally
exactly.
sourced, organic, whole
True.
foods
Right.
as far as possible.
So like Akhil, like as you said, dairy. A lot of people have moved to almond milk and things
Oh
like
yeah.
that. Goa being such a huge market for cashews, and we generally export the cashew, but really we don't use that much cashew in Goan cooking as much as we use coconut. So wouldn't we make cashew milk instead of almond
Yeah,
milk? Is
you
that
can
like
make, but
something?
the cost really goes up. And I think the average person might not be able to afford, like a liter of cashew milk could
Right.
cost you like 300 rupees or maybe higher,
All right.
or almond milk. So nut milk is on the expensive side. So is
But
coconut
still,
milk.
that
So,
could be something which
but
we
yeah, but
can
you can start
Export.
replacing
You can
milk.
export it.
export, give it to at least close by Bangalore, Bombay. I mean, even if we are unable to open out the international things. But I mean, we take in almond milk from other places out of Goa. Why don't we make our own whatever cashew milk or whatever nuts which we grow? Coconut milk also, I mean, for that matter, I don't think we make that much coconut milk as much as Kerala. And I'm guessing we have as much coconut trees.
I mean, we consume all the coconuts we produce, I think.
We consume all of the coconut that we produce, but not so much the cashew is what I'm thinking. So
Cashew, most of
I'm
it is
just thinking,
exported.
yeah. So instead of just, I mean, these are just things. Let's see, are there any questions? Okay, there are a few questions. Question one is from Miguel. What does he say? Wait 1 second. How do we build immunity if access is reduced to the healers? So if access is reduced to the healers, it's open to everyone. Miguel Werner has asked, how do we build immunity if access is reduced to the healers? Yeah, Akhil,
I
you want
think
to answer that?
immunity is nothing got to do with healers. Whether you have the healthcare system fully functional and running, you still have to improve your immunity. Okay, one thing is your diet. Okay, eat more whole foods. Okay, eat at home as much as possible, home cooked food. Get your regular dose of multivitamins. Eat one serving of fruits, especially those with citric fruits with vitamin C, and drink plenty of fluids. This is basic, and some kind of exercise is required to stay fit.
Okay.
Half an hour to 1 hour of walking or running or
Yes.
whatever you like to do.
And
So
I
this is
think,
basic.
Doctor, you've talked about the body and
Yeah, so go
physical health. I think
Mental
we also
health
need
also.
to work on the
Yeah,
emotional
mental health,
and mental health. So
Emotional
I
and
think
Yeah,
some
that's
kind
true.
of
Totally.
pranayams, meditations,
Oh,
yoga
yeah.
is also going to help a lot.
Definitely.
True. Absolutely.
Yes.
Definitely.
So
Yeah.
the
Keep
next
mind.
question is also a very interesting question, which is anonymous. That alternate medicine is quite good, but how do we license these people? There's a lot of malpractice. There are a lot of incompetent people, and credibility and without credibility and qualification, we might land up in more trouble if we have a lot of these alternate medicines without licensing. So that is something interesting to think about. That if we,
Let me just answer that. Okay. There are 560 lakh alcoholics in India. Times of India, February 19th, last year. Look it up. There are less than 1,000 treatment centers in India. Guess how many schools we have for addiction counseling? 0. I had to go to the United States and go to the college for 2 years to become an internationally certified
Right.
alcohol and drug counselor. So to answer this gentleman's or lady's question, in various fields, they do have bodies, whether it's Unani medicine, whether it's Ayurveda, whether it's medicine. We do have bodies. There's several licensed bodies that are around. I'm hoping that in my field also, we will one day have a body that provides credentials to people. But the question to the questioners is ask the guy to show you his credentials. I will not go to the fellow who's sitting under a coconut tree with a red cloth in front of him and selling me,
Right.
take this bark
Yes.
of the tree and you'll be okay. I'll go to Akhil because he has doctor behind in
Thank you
front
so
of his
much.
name and credentials
Yes.
behind his name.
So I feel
Right.
that
Well,
if
this is
we,
common sense.
yeah,
It's common
if
sense.
we do go into this, I guess there should be a body, like when we start in our private practice in allopathy, the DHS, which is the Director of Health Services, comes to do a clinic check. They will check they'll check all your credentials. The pollution board comes to our clinic and they check everything, like what kind of thing you have. So you need two certificates. One, you need, of course, a trade license from the municipality, but the Director of Health Services. So once the alternate medicine comes under the boundaries of Director of Health Services, which would be a public-private kind of thing, and they get a stamp, say every spa, every naturopathy place, or every kind of healing center in Goa gets a kind of thing, gets a certificate from the Director of Health Services, someone who's gone through their licenses, someone who's at least seen to the basics. Of course, they can still go along doing a lot of other things, but and of course, if we have a tech like Practo or something where we can actually put in reviews about these people, like, oh, this person was good, or oh, this person was not so good, or they were thugs. But again, these can be bought, so there is always pros and cons, but at least we can try.
I think Gajanan's portal for Goa would help in that, where he would have all the registered people from
Yes,
different
exactly,
fields.
registered people, and we can, then hold them accountable, something.
Yes.
And I'm sure there is that a consumer forum which we can read. There's another anonymous question which says that which is related to COVID, that there are some COVID cases today, and what is the consensus of us truly being COVID free at when would Goa truly be COVID free? So anyone?
So I like to answer that. I don't think
Yes.
as a virus, and especially a flu virus, you're going to ever be free of it anywhere in the world.
Correct.
So it
Right.
is just going to always remain. You just have to take precautions here on, and that is all about it.
And we
Preventive
come to a
healthcare.
nominal, minimal amount which we can,
Yes.
So I
let
mean,
people
if you
have-
all take care, it's zero. If you know one person slips and one person who's asymptomatic suddenly shows it after 6 months when everything was zero for 5 months, you have a start there. So that's the thing.
Yeah, I
You know, I
think
would like
you
to
should
say
stop watching the
something here.
news and focus on building immunity.
Right.
I believe the
Preventive
only
health
person who's
care.
COVID free right now is one who doesn't have internet or television at home. The virus is more in your mind than in your body.
Yes.
You've
Yeah,
been just bombarded
exactly.
with COVID everywhere. You turn your Facebook, there's COVID. You Instagram, there's COVID. On the
True.
TV, there's
People are
COVID.
not understanding that it's just like any other flu virus. It's going to just be around. You know,
Yes.
it's just going to
You
mutate.
have to
It
move on
is,
with your life
exactly.
and take the
Right.
precautions.
And I think that's where preventive healthcare is going to work,
Correct.
boosting the immunity. Yeah.
Yes, building immunity is one thing, and taking precaution is
Cautions
definitely
is
important.
yes.
No matter, like, people, no matter how many vitamin C you take, no matter how good you feel your immunity is, this is a new kind of virus. You still don't want to go and put, and if you really feel like, oh my God, my immunity is amazing, you can definitely volunteer your services for building the vaccine. But otherwise, let us just stay at home and stay safe. There's
Yes.
a good question here which says that if we build a platform, who will fund it? Like, as we were talking about building that platform for,
So,
and would it need, how much funding would a platform or an app need?
I'll answer that. I'll answer
Yes,
that.
please.
So
Yes.
everything in medical, like I had a call recently about a month
Yeah.
when this COVID thing started,
Yeah.
and there was a group which wanted to do ventilators, and they actually approached me saying that, you know what, we have money, we'll fund it, and you let me know how much you require. So I said,
Right.
anywhere, any medical equipment of that kind of a grade, medical grade, you really
Right.
need a certified one. It takes
Right.
crores of rupees. It's not like you will get to the first level of production level in a very decent way with a small team of 10, 20 people, and you'll still need about 10 to 15 crores and nothing less than that.
Right.
And then if you want to scale it to like a pan-India sale, you look at another 20, 30 crores in terms of sales.
Right.
Okay, that kind of finances. And I don't see in Indian ecosystem with respect to startups or VCs
Yes.
or angel investors who have that kind of patience nor the energy and knowledge to take it that way.
Right.
So having learned from my experience, It's a good question. Who will fund it? If there is a group which is interested and will struggle and do it themselves within a piecewise manner, like I was talking about building the whole thing, right? You may have to build on pieces and then break it whole. That may take about a couple of years, but you may be there at the right time. Right? The problem again is it's not only about who's going to use it. That is one part of the marketing issue. But if you realize getting paid and everything is also an issue. Because if you look at it, people who require this kind of a service may not have a credit card or a debit card which you work on the platform. Then how do they pay? All these issues are, in India are still not solved, and they have still a long way to go. So for us, anything in telehealth or in equipment manufacturing, like today, government has said that I'll give you a lot of money in terms of if you're doing, MSMEs and stuff. But medical equipment stuff is not going to be under the investment required initially itself is like a 3 million
Very
plus.
high.
In the US, they have a standard rule that every medical equipment, one model is about $5 million of equipment, till $5 million of an investment, till you reach the point of certification and you're ready to sell. Whereas in India, in $5 million, an investor will expect you to have a 1,000-unit sale and a 5 crore revenue per year. Okay, so that's a very good understanding of what medicine is and what medical equipment are.
To be commercially viable.
Exactly.
And let's just say something like Practo, where doctors are asked to pay. Is it just Practo or even Just Dial, where where they come and they say that the doctor, or even Zomato for that matter, where the restaurants have to pay a certain amount to be on the platform, and that is where all the revenue comes from. Say we built it like that we ask all the naturopathies, if you are, then you can be registered and you can be like a yoga instructor on this platform. But even to get to that stage, we need a basic amount of, funding to make the app or whatever. Like,
so to answer the question, how much has Practo raised till date? Or how much has Just Dial raised till date, right? We're talking about 600 crores plus. 600 crores. You think you have anything like that, even 60 crores in India, in Goa, who can fund it? No.
No, but then like someone built it, right? In India, like it's still doing. We never really, as doctors, we really didn't think Practo and Just Dial is going to, be the way forward. But I think we have to eat our words. And a lot of patients, like say, I never took Google Pay before this, or I didn't myself have a lot of these paying apps. But since I've started doing telemedicine or video conference, consultations, I mean, it was a struggle for me. First, we were like NEFT kar do, but now everything goes on Google Pay or whatever pay.
True, but if you don't have a structured platform, what happens is like this 3 a.m. call from a patient then.
Exactly.
If you need a proper platform, you need lock and checks there.
Yes,
that's the thing.
Exactly. So I feel like I think something. But again, who would want to be on it? A lot of hospitals could actually, they wouldn't mind a 3 a.m. call. I mean, a lot of doctors in Goa might be like, fine, and it's just a momentary thing. After this, all things will go back to normal. But I think we need to think forward, like post-COVID, and more than that, I think this tech will help in collaborating with others in the industry. It's not really just to get appointments. We want to collaborate with other, therapists and naturopaths or Ayurvedic people. So I think, it's a thought, but we don't know who's going to fund it. If someone wants to fund it through, let's see what other questions have come in. I hope someone says, I shall fund it. I think we've kind of covered all the questions. We have just 10 minutes to wrap up the session. So I'll give everyone two minutes each to, put in your last thoughts. Mr. Darrell, we'll start with you.
Yes, at this time I felt that what is most important, and people are sitting in the house, that we need to give them the education that will first, keep their immunity high, because everybody knows the COVID situation and immunity is one of the biggest things. Recently, I did a webinar which had over 100 people and they were so concerned about that. So, before the step of even getting to a treatment, you have to see what are the things that you're doing to the human body that is bringing down its immunity, every day. And in that, I covered about 12 points that people are doing on an everyday basis. This is a very good time to give that education. I did a full day, this workshop, which started from 9 in the morning to 8 p.m. in the evening. And people were on it. I had about 50 people. It happened on 11th of April. And of course, after every 1 hour, we took about a 10-minute break. And they were so happy to get this information of what are the don'ts. The don'ts are bigger, killers of the human body. So I knocked out, one of the first things in food was, all the packaged food products, especially the processed ones that have got all the chemicals. So I gave people the list of what are the things you should not do, because if you do them every day, they are going to cut down your immunity so high that you're just, open doors to any flu virus and anything that's going around. Absolutely. So I think this is an important time for that kind of education.
Building immunity, yes. Mr. Gajanan, we have your parting words.
Well, I would say don't fall a prey to any lot of news and things that are going on. Yes. And as Dr. Akhil has said, stay away from all the news channels. Go enjoy time with your family, because this is something which has not been there for long for everyone. And at the same time, learn to be exactly. And with Goa, we are able to go for a walk. So do that. That is the simplest thing everyone can go do. Don't have to go to the gym. So you can go for a walk, enjoy, be safe, stay at home. That's it.
Yes. Akhil. Asha.
Yeah.
Miss Asha. Yes.
Asha,
okay. I think, this lockdown has entire period. It has been a lot of self-discovery, self-realizations. People leave the financial things aside, but there is a lot of development in terms of mental and emotional health. And also there are a lot of opportunities. Look around, what are the opportunities that have been created? Keep yourself alert, aware, and there is so much more to do and look forward to.
Absolutely.
You've got to be just positive and infectious with your smiles.
Yes, that's a lovely message. Akhil?
Hi, I just saw a question which Mr. Rajesh so get posted. When will we truly be COVID free? So I believe that COVID is here to stay for a year, maybe 2, maybe longer, because the virus is continuously mutating. Okay, but what we can do is that we all will be infected some days. Some of us won't even realize. We might have even been infected. We might not have any symptoms. Okay, we might lose a few people like the elderly and the people with comorbid conditions, but we have to move on with our lives. Okay, the economy has to go on. Okay, but I think one thing we humans should learn from this episode is that we have to be more considerate towards the environment, try to reduce our carbon footprints, okay, try to reduce plastic use, and most importantly, be kind towards animals, other species who are sharing the planet with us. Go easy with the factory farming of animals.
Wow.
Try to eat less animals as far as possible. Okay, focus more on the plant-based diet, which is good for the environment as well as our health. So that's my takeaway. Focus on a plant-based diet and improve your immunity.
Yes, thanks. Now, Mr. Roy, we'll have your words. Mr. Roy.
So I'd like to focus on some of the do's instead of the don'ts.
Yes.
And so I would suggest if somebody is a Reiki practitioner, do Reiki every day. It's great. I would like to suggest that you do Surya Namaskar every day.
Right.
I'm up to about 20 so far. I'd like to suggest that you do a little bit of yoga. A lot of the yoga is fairly simple. My favorite position is Shavasana. So
everyone's favorite.
and, listen to some soothing music. And, hey, you know what? When I was growing up 50 years ago, there was no TV in India. We read books. There's still books around. Pick up a book, read a book. Look for something interesting. I loved what Akhil said about nature. I've been blessed. Our center is in Lonavala, so a lovely garden and trees.
Yes.
We built a little bird feeder. And we have these birds and these squirrels. So I'd like to focus on the do's. It's preferable that if you don't need to, and it's not medically recommended, you don't need to put any harmful substances into your system, because otherwise you're going to land up with me at some point. I loved what you said. Please be kind to each other. Let's be kind to each other, and let's try to leave this place a better planet, then we found it. Thanks.
I think that brings us to the end. I think we've covered everyone's questions. We've had a good discussion. Yeah, I mean, I think this was fantastic. What I would leave everyone with is, of course, all the do's, all the don'ts. But something which I have started doing is journaling, writing what you do every day. That helped me is that after a few days, the days just seem to, blend into one. You don't know if it's a Sunday or a Monday or a Tuesday. What did you do yesterday? So when you write 2-3 things, and it's the 3 things which we write. One is, what did I learn today? The second is, who did I love or what did I love? And the third thing is, what made me laugh today? So if love, live, laugh is something which we cover every day, and I just write it in a journal. And who knows, maybe 20 years from now, when I'm telling everyone how I met myself, like instead of how I met your mother, how I met myself during COVID. And it'll be nice to just read through what all we did in this time, because just a year from now, we'll look back at this time and we'll think, did this even happen? Things are going to go back to a new normal. We'll forget that we really lived in these times and really enjoy every moment that you're having this. This is a unique experience. No other generation is ever going to have this. So enjoy this unique experience of living in this kind of stressful yet, stay at home times. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much. Such a
Thank you.
pleasure
We also,
meeting all of
once
you.
lockdown
Yes,
is over,
absolutely.
we should all meet up for a drink. We have a lot more ideas to share.
Yeah.
We can't speak too much on this platform.
If you guys ever open the borders, then I'll come back to Goa.
Where
Wow.
are your bottles?
Wow.
Did you say bottles? Open the bottles? Or?
You said open the bottle. I don't.
Such a pleasure meeting all of you. Thank you
Cheers.
so
Take care,
much.
yeah. Hopefully we'll meet in
Cheers.
person someday. Take care.
God
Thank
bless
you.
Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much.
Bye.
Bye.